Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Carrie McKinnon with the International Language Coaching Foundation. We are back again with another interview with a language coach, and today we have Julie Yoder, who is the founder and lead teacher. She's also an English coach at English with Purpose. Welcome, Julie.
I'm so happy to be here.
We're very happy to have you. Could you tell us a little bit about your organization, English with Purpose?
Sure. So we are a niche English language teaching and coaching company. I say we, but it's quite small right now, myself and another coach, but we have a growth plan for the coming year. And we help international professionals overcome their language and cultural barriers and communicate with confidence. So we work with primarily upper intermediate to advanced learners who need to polish a number of things so that they can feel better about their performance at work in English. And because of our proximity to Washington, D.C., a lot of those people tend to be in international organizations like the IMF and the World Bank or the Pan American Health Organization or other umbrellas of the UN.
Impressive.
Embassies. Yeah. But really, anybody who people come to us when they find themselves at a point in their career where they are absolutely fine in terms of performing their day-to-day duties, but they don't feel great about their performance in English. And we help them identify their goals and both their internal and external conditions that might be holding them back from where they would like to be. And we co-create a plan to get them there. And we do this in a couple of different ways. So I've been offering one-on-one sessions since 2009, and that was really the foundation of the company. But for the past 2 years, I've been moving into more group programs, specialized group programs for small groups that are based on what I've been hearing from clients for more than a decade about what they need most. So, and really what they need most for a lot of people, in spite of living in the United States, is structured, meaningful speaking practice to build confidence with feedback. And so that's one of the things that I think people outside of language coaching in the US might not seem obvious, but in many of the cities where we have this type of clientele, it's entirely possible to live your day-to-day life immersed in an English-speaking country and speak no English. Right. Because with the international organizations, the dominant language at work is sometimes people are hired for their language skills to liaise with the part of the world where they come from. And so that's a very common one. Writing skills, pronunciation, specific things like communicating via email, giving presentations. But the core of all of it really is the confidence, building confidence.
Okay. Thank you for that cohesive explanation of what you guys do. For anyone that's watching that possibly, is feeling called to work with English with Purpose, you're working online as well as in person, is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we had already been 60% online before COVID. Mm-hmm. So the pivot to fully online was not that difficult. So right now, all of the workshops that we will be offering this summer, and of course the one-to-one sessions, are all going to be online. The format right now is live. And I think that's an important differentiation because there's a lot of module courses out there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I have found with our learners is that they really want the face-to-face practice. So I just want to be clear about that. Like, all of our digital offerings are live group sessions via Zoom.
Great. Okay, very cool. And we will have more information about how to contact Julie at the end of this talk that we do. So we're going to just jump right in with our typical questions here. My favorite question, I think, one of them, is how did you get involved in language coaching and what has been your journey?
Oh, I'll try to be brief. I think, like all of us, language coaching wasn't a thing, right, when I started. So I didn't even know that was what I was doing. But I actually, after a few years after college, I had an experience that made me realize I wanted to teach English as a second language. And this was after a few years of kind of floundering around with that big question of, like, what are you gonna do with your life? And I was living in Berlin, and I had a series of odd jobs. really living in Berlin doing nothing and ostensibly working on my German language skills. And I had a tutoring job with a kid in the neighborhood. And that was kind of like the aha moment. They hired me to help him with English. So when I came back to the States, I applied to graduate programs and I got my degree in linguistics with second degree in teaching English as a second language. And one of the biggest blessings of that experience was that I had an assistantship at the Academic English Institute. And that's where I had amazing mentors. They put so much trust in me as an inexperienced graduate student teacher, and they just threw me into the mix right from the beginning, but with support. And at that time in South Carolina, the state was working hard to attract international business. And there was a German company that was building a manufacturing plant in the city where I went to graduate school. And what they did is they printed on packaging material. So they had this special system for, like, you know, the sleeves of the beer bottle, the foil, or the top of a yogurt container. So a company in South Carolina, a snack food company, was their biggest client. And they used to ship their blank packaging over to Germany to have it printed. And then it would be shipped back for distribution in the United States. So this was so inefficient, the company's like, let's just build a plant there. And one summer while I was in graduate school, the company contacted the English Institute and said, we want training for our executives. And they gave the whole project to us graduate students and just said, figure out their needs, figure out what they need, structure the classes, and you'll get paid for it.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's amazing, actually. And it was amazing to me that the English professors and mentors just put their total trust in us, because it was a big contract. And so that happened 2 summers in a row, actually. We worked with those German executives. So I got this sort of crash course in business English teaching, but also in needs assessment and what I didn't know at the time, coaching, because this was a small group of like 6 executives, and we spent a lot of time with them, and we took them on field trips and we did cultural activities. And so at the end of my graduate degree, the CEO wanted somebody to come to Germany to teach the employees who did not have the opportunity to travel, because they were becoming increasingly a global company. But actually what he wanted was a person in my cohort. He wanted Cynthia specifically to come because he liked her, even though she was married. And so it happens. It happens. Sorry, this is English. It happens a lot. That's another conversation. But she turned it down because she was uncomfortable. And I was like, I'll take it. I got nothing. So my very first paid professional job had a lot of responsibility. I had to go into this company, work with 5 different departments, and figure out what each department needed in terms of English. And I had to get trained on what they do for their business so that I could help their people explain to customers on the phone what was or was not possible. And this was, before everything was absolutely available on the internet. I couldn't pack my books with me overseas. I couldn't, I just had a laptop, and I had to figure it out. So I got this really great foundational experience. And then when I came back to the States, I landed in DC, and eventually ended up in the public school system because I needed health insurance. And I loved that for many ways. Totally different type of learner. I taught 6th grade ESL, the students who had just arrived in the country. Many of them were refugees. But after 6 years of that, I hit burnout really, really hard. And I found myself too sick to work, with no real plan, and really kind of desperate. And I thought, well, what do I have? I have 10 years of teaching experience at this point. I have proper training. I have, a wide variety of learners in my background. What's needed here? And I had been in DC long enough to kind of get a sense of the types of work that people did around here and the types of organizations. So I did a little bit of market research, thinking there's got to be people who go into the embassies and help English learners or these organizations, but I couldn't find anyone with a web presence. And so I really just built a basic website, and just some basic language about, like, I will help you meet your goals in English. And once I got that out there, I was kind of spoiled because the inquiries started coming in immediately. I just filled a gap.
Yeah. Sometimes that's just the most important thing, right? Identifying and filling that gap. Very cool. All right. Thank you. That's a great story. You took us on ups and downs and
There have been a lot of ups and downs.
yeah, I'm so glad that you addressed this thing of, English teacher burnout,
Yeah.
right? I think that that is a real thing and we don't talk about it enough in our industry outright.
It was a heartbreak. It was a serious heartbreak that I had to heal from. Um, and I miss teaching kids in a lot of ways, but it doesn't mean I can't do it. But but had that not happened, I would not have evolved as an English coach, and I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. And, I see that not just with teaching kids and teaching what I imagine are newly, settling immigrants, refugees, which is, you just put so much of your heart into
Mm.
that work.
Yeah.
Even teaching executives and teaching business
Mm-hmm.
people, we can get so burnt out. If you're a passionate kind of practitioner with what you do, and because we give so much. I've always thought English teaching is a little therapeutic because you can
Yeah.
shut the door and ignore everything and just be in that.
Mm-hmm.
But with time, that can really take its toll on you as well. Like that
And you
much of
hold a lot of space for people, which
yes,
I'm good at, but you have to really be conscious of building up your own reserves because you are constantly holding space for people.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So those like healthy habits, be it meditation and
Mm-hmm.
self-care and taking that time for yourself, and also
Absolutely.
shifting that paradigm of the learner versus teacher responsibility, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
what we're all about at ILCA. Okay, thank you for that. We're going to move on. Question 2, what trends do you see in ELT?
In terms of adults, well, okay, in general for everyone, obviously more online learning. Um, that has been around for a while, but now that we have all been forced online, I really foresee a trend in the separation between those of us who are doing meaningful work and the people who set up companies, just to make money online. Um,
Oh,
I,
interesting spin on that.
I hope anyway. I think over time it's going to shake out a little bit more. I hear about teachers working for these Chinese companies and making $12 an hour and working in the middle of the night, and I'm like, ooh, why are you doing that? Like,
Yeah,
it's not necessary, and I understand that starting your own thing can seem really overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be that big of a deal. And a lot of us right now, we're forced into starting our own thing. I was already there. I had already been doing this. I had already been teaching online, coaching online, 60%. But now that we have all been forced online during COVID-19, I think there's going to be a shaking out of quality.
I love that. I love that. I love that. That's so cool. We talk a lot about, online engagement
Mm-hmm.
and learner autonomy, but this is
Mm-hmm.
the first time I've heard anyone bring this up, this qualitative shift of who is actually in the online space. That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
hearing that you're saying, that, we've had our online, the English and languages has been present online, and as you said, there's maybe some bigger companies that are in that space and there
Mm-hmm.
to make the money and do this like mass volume. But now that all of the practitioners are migrating online, what I'm hearing, I'm just kind of summarizing what you were saying there, is that we're gonna see more people really showing up with heart and soul into this because
Mm-hmm.
it's what they do, and now they find themselves forced into this new situation of being here.
Yeah, and I think it's great because, why hire the top hit in Google just because they have a marketing budget and they can say what they want? Like dig a little deeper, and
Love
you
it.
can find somebody who's, built their whole work purpose around this. And,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's great. The more of us in the online space, the more of us who can show that there are true practitioners. There's a whole world of talented, compassionate, heart-centered, true practitioners out there. And I think
Mhm.
we're just going to continue to bubble to the surface online.
Yeah, yeah. We meet people every day at ILCA that are migrating fully to an online space or upping their online game. So yeah, so here's a challenge to all of you language professionals that have been forced online. Take your space, right?
Yeah.
Like
Take your
do,
space. Don't
learn
be
what you need
overwhelmed by the
to
business
learn.
aspect of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's all
and,
kinds of
and
stuff
learn
out
what you
there.
need to learn to show up, right? And to show
Yeah.
up well and to make it to the top. Learn your SEO,
Hmm.
learn your marketing and that and those kind of things as well. And your core message, your niche message, all of that.
Hmm.
Love that. Thank you for bringing that up, Julie. Finally, what is your message to teachers and trainers?
Actually, this piggybacks off of what you just said. Um, this might seem quite simple to people, but it took me a long time to figure this out. And it really is just, it's a Sesame Street message. Be your authentic self. Like, be your authentic self. I used to hide aspects of myself because I thought they weren't professional. And because I was going into, fancy and important spaces, I thought I needed to dress a certain way. I thought I needed to not talk about certain aspects of my life. I was trying to fit my coaching into this image of what I thought people wanted instead of showing up fully and authentically of who I was.
Mhm.
And I kind of led this double life for like the first 5 years of the company. Like I played drums in active local bands for 10 years and I didn't tell any of my clients.
Wow.
But if you Googled me, you could see my other life,
Yeah.
And once I started, and like I write, not right now, but when I used to travel to people, I rode my bicycle because it is the only way to show up on time for appointments when you're seeing 3 or 4 people in a day. So I might be kind of sweaty,
Yeah.
when I'm there, and I don't look like the women in the elevator with the high heels and the perfect hair who've been in air conditioning all day.
Yep.
And I used to feel insecure about that, but it's like, no, this is who I am. I'm an English coach who comes to you, and I ride my bike, and the arts
Yep.
are important to me. And you know, once I did that, and I actually worked with a branding coach to really bring that out and be honest about it, um, I've always had amazing clients, but the ones who have been coming to me since then, every single one feels like an old friend.
Mhm.
So when you are your authentic self, you know, and you put that out there, you will start to attract your people because we all have different talents and ways of coaching and ways of helping people. And it's, as you know, probably a lot like therapy. You really need to find the right match. And there are actually a lot of therapeutic elements, which is a conversation for another time, right?
Exactly.
But you'll start to find your people. And once I let go of like, what does a professional English coach for diplomats look like? And started tapping into like, well, who am I? And what's my
Yeah.
journey? And how do I help people? I'm a recovering perfectionist. I attract perfectionists.
Yeah.
And that helps me be a stronger coach because I can break down the ways in which they're getting in their own way.
Okay.
And, as an example. So that really is and connected to that is also, if you have a vision, stick with that. In the beginning, I had a bit of imposter syndrome because I was making it up as I went along. I
Mhm.
had strong foundational training and I knew I was a great English language teacher and I was an effective teacher, but in terms of evolving as a coach, I was making it up as I went along. And I let people, when you start a business and you tell people you have a business, you get all kinds of unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
And I let myself get off my own track of my vision a couple of times because of my own insecurity. And once I got back to my original vision, again, that's when things like really opened up. And I feel fortunate because I've had a strong clientele throughout. I've had really no interruption in my work through COVID-19. I haven't had to struggle. I haven't had to hustle. The foundation was already there
Yeah.
once I really leaned into those two things.
Great. I love it. I love your message. Be your authentic self. So cool and so true. Again, this conversation has been great, and you're right. We should totally do this again and address all the things that kept coming up that we are like, that's for a different day.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. If any of you watching would like to get in touch with Julie of English with Purpose, here's her contact information on the screen now, and I will place this information into the video description. Please get in touch with her. She's obviously full of good advice and yeah, can help you. Thank you, Julie, so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, thanks a lot.